Grab your pre-workout and turn up that volume. It is time for a new episode of the Powerlifter's Den with your host, Cam Smith. What's up, Powerlifter's Den family? Want to rep the podcast and look good while doing it? Check out my official merch store at plden.company.site. We've got tees, hoodies, beanies, hats, and more, and gear that'll keep you motivated in and out of the gym. Every purchase helps support me and the podcast and keeps the den growing strong. So whether you're hitting a heavy squat session or just lounging in style, we've got you covered. Head to plden.company.site and grab your merch today. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Powerlifter's Den. I'm your host, Cam Smith, and today I want to bring on a friend of mine who is also the strongest teen to ever grace Multiply. So, JT, why don't you introduce yourself?
How are we doing? Name's JT Krivinskas. I started powerlifting about, I would say 5 years ago, and just happy to be on the podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, to get started, I'd like to talk about your background. I think we can start with maybe talking about kind of growing up in like a sports world. Maybe just tell us about like what that was like for you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my dad was a bodybuilder, so that definitely helped my athletic training and background. Pretty much, I was 7 years old, and my dad came home with a tire. Because he was into the strongman stuff while bodybuilding. So he came home with a big tire and a little tire, and he basically told me to start flipping this thing. And I started flipping that, and then we had a whole gym in my garage, so that definitely helped me at a young age to start getting into it because I didn't need to go to a gym outside. I could just walk into my garage, and everything was there. You know, we had everything pretty much from a rack to dumbbells up to 130s that, I'm starting to use now, which I'm happy about. And I still have that tire, so that's definitely how I started. And
Yeah, so with having a home gym that's actually like well equipped, like I know some people have home gyms where it's like, for me, if I just need to get like a quick pump in, I could go do that when I can't make it out to the gym. But for you, you had enough equipment. So when you kind of got that first real gym experience, like how much of a culture shock was it for you?
Well, my first time in a real powerlifting gym was Hellbent Barbell. I was 16 years old, stepping into that gym with my buddy Mike Cagoni and my dad, because he had to drive us. I didn't have a driver's license yet, or Mike. So we both hopped in the car with my dad and headed over there. And it was definitely a wow moment. It was a bench day. We both got the bench shirts the day before we stepped into the gym, and we tried it on in my gym. And I think we did like 405 to like a 3 board, like for like twice 2 reps. And we get there and they're like, "You guys are gonna bench 500 today to a 2 board."
Yeah.
And we're like, "No shot." We're like in shock. We're like, 500 pounds. We're like, we barely even squat that right now. So we were like, there's no way. But we did end up coming out of that gym with a 500-pound 2 board bench press. That was my first time in that gym. And it's actually crazy how I even got introduced to that gym, because buying the bench shirt actually opened the door to finding out about that gym, because I had no idea. None of my dad didn't really know. He knew about Southside when he used to train up in Connecticut, but he didn't think that was around anymore, because he knew that I wanted to get into Multiply and stuff like that when he saw me buying stuff on his credit card on the Facebook Marketplace, asking what this stuff was. But he knew, because he was best friends with Vinny DeCenzo, who was a powerlifter, obviously, and has all bench press records. So he was friends with him. And so like we got the bench shirts, we went up there, and it was a game changer from there.
Yeah, so how did acquiring that bench shirt lead you to Hellbent?
Sorry.
You're good.
Acquiring the bench shirt was on Facebook Marketplace, and this guy named Greg Domingo, who I'm sure a lot of people know and don't know, but he recommended me to these gyms because he was like, you can't really be training alone in this gear. A little 16-year-old buying this stuff, he probably didn't really think I had much an idea of what to do, and I really didn't. So he like listed off like 3 gyms, I think, like a couple in Massachusetts. I think he listed off like Evolve back then, and I think he listed like Hellbent, obviously. And like we looked for the closest one, because like just starting out, we're like, we drive 2.5 hours to go to a gym.
Yeah.
Hellbent was 45 minutes away. And I hit up Mike, and I'll remember this frankly. I texted him saying, "Hello, Mr. Skiba." And he responded with me saying, "Do not ever call me Mr. ever again." And that was kind of like, okay, here we go. So then we stepped into the gym, and it was just, ball was rolling from there.
Yeah, and was it something that like the second you finished up that session, you're like, all right, this is my new home?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was, because me and Mike were like, we were already asking like, oh, so what time, like what days, what times do you guys train? I think Mike was like a little little hesitant to tell us because he was like, these little kids are gonna come back into the gym. Well, we don't know, because obviously in powerlifting everyone comes and goes. Everyone, like, there's a flash in the pan for a couple of years and everyone leaves. And training partners, obviously, some people stop training. But when we went there, it was in the full force. Everyone was training full force. Like, it was insane. But yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about training with Mike, because obviously you guys kind of came up and were like little superstar young guys in the sport.
So we started training in my garage for football. Mike lived in Poughkeepsie. So he would come down like almost every single day, an hour down. His dad would like drive him down back in the day, and we would get to the gym and we would just, this is kind of when we first found out about conjugate and like bands and everything, because my dad was watching videos and he kind of just slapped bands on a bar and was like, this is what you're going to do today.
Yeah.
And the dynamic effort, I think, definitely helped me and Mike create some explosion and fast twitch muscles during football. So yeah, Mike would come down every day, and it was definitely a competitive atmosphere every time we were in the gym, just me and him. Even if it was just us two, we would find a way to get someone to hold the board. Like, I think my sister has held the board for me and Mike a couple times, like going in the gym. My mom, my dad was definitely in there holding stuff. So it was definitely like a sketchy scene sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole bunch of stories about me and Mike pushing each other and getting in each other's faces with that type of drive and intensity. But there was one time I sold my bike. This is a funny story. I'll get into this. So I sold my bike. I had a BMX SE bike, it was called the Beast Mode. It was like an $800 bike.
Yeah.
And I got it from cutting this dude's grass. So I got that bike and I grew out of obviously the riding bikes things. And I bought Westside Bully Bar, cambered bar. So I didn't really know it didn't fit in a rack. It needed to be in a monolift. So I bought the bar and I'm like so excited for this. So excited. I'm like, yo, like it's about to come. Mike gets in the gym. We unwrap it, like we get it, we put it in the hook, so we're like, oh, doesn't fit.
Yeah.
But we ended up squatting with it. It was probably the most sketchy thing, and he could tell you, it was probably the most sketchiest thing like in the world that has ever happened in powerlifting. We had I think we were raw too, but we would walk it out to a box, like we got to put one side in the thing, one side in the. It was insane. But there's so many stories about me and him getting into little arguments, and I think having that type of training partner, especially someone that played a sport with me, created like that drive for each other, because I don't think if we had anyone else, we wouldn't be trying to go as crazy as we were.
Yeah. So obviously having a training partner like that early on kind of really shapes like your mindset in the gym. So maybe tell us about what are some of the things that you benefited from having that sort of like kind of rivalry, frenemies type thing. Obviously you guys are close friends, but in the gym, it's like a different story.
So I would say that what benefits would be that I pushed myself probably a little too hard sometimes. Definitely that. And we would just get into it, like if there's this one time in the gym, we were at Hellbent. It was a cambered bar with I think like 160 chain or something. This was in the summer, like mid of the summer. It's sweating. It's hot out. It's hot out in Hellbent. And we're just going back and forth, chipping each other. And I think it got to a point where even Mike called it off. We were going to be in there for about 2 hours, just chipping each other. And after every set, we would get in each other's face, like, you're not fucking beating me, all this and that. And that's just one of the stories. There was another story. He'll probably have a different story on this one story, but it was a reverse band deadlift, light band. This was during our first meet prep. And we're like, all right, well, no, we'll see who has the better deadlift, because obviously our squats were close, our benches were pretty damn close, and we were like, all right, it's gonna come up to the deadlift of who's gonna beat each other. So we get in the gym, we're zoned in. It's just me and him in the gym. I think it was like after school or something, so no one was in there. We're in the gym, loading up the plates. We get up to I think he got to 875 or something, or 850 with the reverse band, Mike did. And he hitched it at the top. And I'm like, you didn't get that shit. You didn't get that. He's like, oh, we're going off old school style. I got that. And then I freaking chipped it and I think I missed it. And I was like, you motherfucker, I fucking beat you the first time, blah, 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 blah. But little petty things. I think it definitely benefits you having someone that is close, and especially in age, because I wasn't really comparing myself to any of the guys at Hellbent because I was such a young age. I mean, obviously, Doug Riley could tell you a story about, me getting in the gym and Mike getting in his face saying, why are you going to let this little kid even get close to you, But that was really, the only, close thing I had first starting out. It was just me and Mike trying to push each other to, be the greatest at our age, And I think that as we developed and He's at Coastal Carolina right now playing football, doing his thing, being a beast. We still send each other videos, and we still are like, yo, I just did this today. Are you going to do this? Like, we're still on each other's asses. And I think that's definitely something that's going to be stuck with each other for a while. And I just started at such a young age. So I think that definitely benefited us
Yeah.
compared to a lot of people, starting out.
Yeah, and I think having someone in your crew or even like within Covenant Conjugate, like something I always do is like in out of all we don't have like someone around me. It's either Rupo who's light years ahead of me or it's
Yeah.
it's everyone else right now. Like and so when it's like those variation days and we have the same variations, like with Connor on bench, like I'm trying to get or trying to beat him, or I'm trying to get close to his deadlift and like squats and like so he's like obviously he has a much better gloss because he's at 220, but like things like that with the challenges of like when you got these variations, you can push it. Like obviously, don't be stupid with it, but having that little competitive like atmosphere, like maybe you would have cut it at 650, but he went 675, so you go 680 and then you hit it.
Yep. Exactly. And that definitely helps a lot of people. And I think that even with sending videos to each other in the group chat that we have, like, oh, what did you hit today on a bench? And you're like, all right, now I got to go in the gym and try to beat that. I think that definitely creates a mindset for everyone in the gym to just try to strive for even better numbers than you think you could have. Because I'm sure everyone at least now, I think in multiply, like I don't think there's really any younger kids that aren't working like me and Mike were, at least when we were doing that. That you're tired off of work or something, and you got to go in, and you're like, oh, like I'm probably gonna cut it at this weight, and then you go in and you see like, oh well, Connor just did 605 for 3 on a 3 board. You're like, all right, like now I got to go 620 or something. So it definitely creates a good culture, I think, in multiply, like having everyone have their numbers and try to beat things. I think that definitely helps a lot of people.
Yeah, so as far as like your first meet, let's talk about that first meet prep because obviously you kind of just went right into the gear and like that was your thing. So maybe tell us about that experience of learning it and then being able to kind of perform great at your first meet.
So I think before I even got in gear, I definitely had a good raw base. Like I pulled almost 600 conventional raw. I squatted like 500, and that was like what this is when I was like 15. And then the meet I did, I was 17. But those are the numbers I tested with. And I think my bench was like 350 or something. So I definitely created like a good raw base before I got into the gear, and I think that's what a lot of people need to start doing personally, because I see a bunch of people just hop right into the gear, and it's like, listen, you're not going to perform their best. Like even if you become a technician in the gear, like you need to have that raw foundation, and I think that's definitely a big thing in that aspect. So having that definitely helped me. And then that meet prep was kind of like Skiba wrote out everything for us, and we were like, me and Mike, and we were like, we got to follow this to a T. So we were seniors in high school. We just got off of the season. We were a little banged up and everything, but like we were like, we're not gonna let this stop us. So the summer before that, we like did like a mock meet. I think I squatted 850 at 16, and Mike squatted 900, and I just missed 900. So I was close.
Yeah.
I probably would have got it the second time, but and I think I benched like 515 or something, and then I pulled like 700. I think this was at 16. This was the summer before, so we kind of had that mindset like we want to get into a meet, like see what happens after the season. So we get back to Hellbent after the season, and we're like, all right, time to go start working out. Start working out again. Ski was like, all right, we're gonna have a meet here. We're gonna host it. It's gonna be March. I think it was March 20th, if I'm correct.
23rd.
2023. I think
Or
that's
25th. 25th. I got your
25th.
open powerlifting open.
Oh
so.
yeah. All right. It was March 25th. And he set the date, and he's like, all right, this is everything you're going to do from now on, accessories and all. So, there were some days we would come in after school and we're like a little tired, but we pushed through. And I think having each other definitely helped that. The first meet prep kind of went as expected, like you get in there, you're like, all right, like, let's see what happens. Like you have the numbers that we did last at the mock meet. So like, we're like, all right, the gear changes, I think definitely helped. Like I think I was in loose. Oh, I was in the same gear actually. I was in like some 3-ply Preds that Mike actually gifted to me. I still have those. I was in an STP bench shirt that I bought off the Facebook Marketplace, and I was in the LUP when I pulled the first meet, and I got in the first mock meet that we did before that meet. I was in the same gear, so I didn't change anything. And we just kept pushing, and I think like we started getting into Circa Max, and we were kind of like, what is this? Like we're throwing on like an average band and 160 chain, and we're like with a Duffalo bar, and we're like, oh my goodness, like it feels like incredible weight without even the like weight on the bar. We're like, oh my goodness. So Skiba definitely helped us and guided us the first meet that I did, like no one else. I think that definitely helped us, and that atmosphere that we had that meet, like having the first meet, like the jitters and everything, having everyone there, I definitely think that helped us. Like my dad was there, my uncle was there, like Delafave was there, everyone was there, and they were rooting us on. So it definitely like helped us out at that moment.
Yeah. So with
For
kind
sure.
of obviously you squatted 1,000 your first meet, which is something not a lot of people can say. Is that something at that time? Like, did you even like realize what that number meant? Like, what did 1,000 mean to you at that point?
I think 1,000 meant to me was at that time. It was something that it was a number in my head. I saw like when I was watching like all the videos growing up, like the West Side versus the Worlds, like the 1,000 pound squat is like you're the shit if you squat 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't really. It was definitely the goal going into that meet prep because Skiba was in my ear. He's like, you smoked at 850 last year. Like we got to keep ramping shit up. And I was like, all right, we'll see where it takes us. Like I think I opened up at like 875 or something,
881.
and 881. I opened up pretty moderately for. I mean, taking a gram like almost 200 pounds lighter. And then we went to what was the second one?
941.
941. And after that one, it was kind of like it's either you're gonna hit it or you're not. And I think I mustered up enough strength to hit the 1,000. And after that, I kind of realized after what I did, I realized like what it meant. And going into it, I think that me and Mike both had that mindset of we want to come into this sport and make a splash. Like we want to be known. It wasn't like we were just gonna go in there and like make a little pet like a little drop. I think me and Mike talked about that a lot. And Skiba including, like all three of us talked about it a lot, like the mark that we want to leave on the sport at a young age. And I think after that 1,000 pound squat, it definitely shaped what I did moving forward.
Yeah, and so with that being your first meet, from there on, obviously you talked about what the 1,000 meant, but in terms of like what your mindset was going forward, like did you immediately have goals of like, okay, now I want to take the squat record and things like that, or is it something that you just wanted to keep doing it, or like what was your mindset from there?
It was definitely something I wanted to keep doing. I knew it was going to be tough going into college football though, because I
Yeah,
definitely wanted to get the meet done before I started college football. And I have to say, my strength coaches at Lock Haven when I was there definitely supported that I was going to do another meet. I would say like I didn't need to do all their workouts. Like I would be able to go and lift on my own and do everything like that. But it was definitely a complete different mindset, I would say, because after the high school one, I didn't know if I was going to do another meet. I wanted to, but I didn't know if it was going to shape out that way. And it did. And then the second meet I did was the storm meet. That one kind of was not my best showing.
yeah.
It was a tough meet, but it was definitely well ran. Definitely coming from, the Northeast, and then going down there was a lot of,
It's hot as fuck.
um, yeah, yeah, a lot of conditions that you're not ready for. Let's say, so that meet was all right. Sorry. Um, well, we're getting into that. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah,
We're getting into that
keep
meet first.
going,
You want me
bro.
to roll
You can
into
talk
it?
as much as you want.
That meet didn't go as planned. It was my first pro meet, an invitational meet, so that definitely meant something to me. The meet prep was something that was a little sketchy because my first practice in the spring, because we have football in the spring,
Yep.
I popped my hamstring, so that didn't really go as planned. I popped my hamstring the first practice, and I was like, shit. Like, am I going to continue with this meet prep and everything like that? And that was at the time that I was working out a sponsorship with Overkill. So it was that was probably the most hectic meet prep I've ever been in. Switching gear left and right, popped hamstring, and then I broke my thumb during that meet prep too.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a prep that is someone's nightmare to say the least. Broken thumb, a popped hamstring, and continuing playing football every single day. So it didn't go out as planned at the storm meet, but I didn't know if there was gonna be a future after that. And while I was at Lock Haven, I came across this gym called Nittany Barbell, and they helped me out through my powerlifting journey. While I was at a school in Pennsylvania, I would drive for another 40 minutes every fucking day to go to the gym after football and in the mornings after what you're doing after games and stuff. So it was definitely a couple times I was in that gym a little
Yeah.
Not my best full recovered, not hydrated, but they helped out a lot during that because I don't know if I would have been able to power lift while I was at that school if there wasn't another gym. I couldn't go home 5 hours away to go to a gym and create a meet prep and an environment to work out in. So once I got that invitation, I kind of knew it was kind of go and get involved and get to work. So I was at Nittany and I was hitting all the attempts that Mike was programming me and everything like that. But I was in the overkill suit, and it didn't really fit right. I was also, I think, I was like 258. I was competing at 275 at the time, and went to Florida, and then hit my first attempt, hit my opener. I think I went to 1060. They called me on depth. I went again, missed it again. Came out with a 980 squat, I think, and then the bench. I'm very glad I didn't bomb out. I mean, I don't know all the numbers. I think my deadlift even was shit at that meet. But I hit one of every lift at least. So I came out of that meet standing, and as soon as that meet ended, Shell, the owner of Nittany Barbell, was at the meet because Phil was also competing, and I told her, I said, "Is there another meet anytime soon?" And she told me there was one 2 weeks later.
Yep.
And after that, I got back to work
Yep.
and competed at that.
Yep. Just you. So you and Rupo, you and Rupo were in the same boat, and because obviously he was at the time going for the single ply record, and he's like, "Fuck this! I'm
Yes.
gonna go get another multiply total." So, for you and for him, like, what is that? What was it like doing that quick turnaround? Because I did a somewhat quick turnaround from Strength of Heroes to Halloween Havoc, and like so I was able to kind of still like almost re-peak or kind of ride the peak. For you guys, you gotta have that same thing of like stay in that peak, but like kind of deload a little bit. So how did you manage that?
I think it's stupid. Doing that. It's definitely not the brightest thing. I think me and Rupo at the end of it were like, yeah, I don't think we're doing that one again.
Yeah.
It's definitely something on the body that I don't wish upon anyone. You going to tempt all those maxes, and then you got like 2 weeks of a prep. I don't even know how to put it. Like you go off that prep and you try to build a little bit. I think for me personally, I think I just did an opener for every single attempt, and it kind of locked it in and recovered the week before. And then I think I hit like a Duffalo, like strapless suit bottoms, like 800 pounds for like three, I think, before. And that kind of fried my CNS a little bit to get it back in shot, to get in, shoot it up. But yeah, it was definitely a quick turnaround time to say the least, especially with traveling. I mean, that was the first meet I really traveled to in a plane, at least.
Yeah.
And it was definitely something that it's insane. Like going from one multiply meet in Florida, and then you got 2 weeks, and then you're going to Pennsylvania. Like it was something that was definitely sketchy, but we got it done. And that meet was definitely fun. It was great seeing everyone at that mini meet for sure.
Yeah, and that was obviously a great meet for you because you were able to get a squat record there and hit that 2,400 total. So it kind of worked out, even though it was kind of a dumb idea. It worked out for the better.
Yeah, it worked out. I mean, I was still pissed off after that meet that I was 30 pounds short because after going into the second meet, I kind of had the goal of wanting to take the highest teenage total ever, and the squat. I felt like the squat was just going to fall into place if I was going to go in total over 2435.
Yeah.
I had that number. I know that number because it was stuck in my head for about 3 years. After failing countless of times, but yeah, I think after that first meet, I didn't really know what was going to happen, and then I got a DM or a comment under my first meets post, and it was like, "Yeah, this is cool, but you're never going to beat the teenage total." And I was like, "All right, what is it?" I didn't even know what it was at the time,
Yeah.
so I look it up, and I'm like, 2435. I'm like, that's a lot of work to do from 2257. I think I hit my first meet. Like that's a lot. That's a big jump there. But I definitely had that mindset that that's what I wanted to do going into the second meet. It wasn't just like something I was going to do for fun. I definitely don't think that any of my powerlifting meets were for fun. I think everyone had a goal that I wanted to achieve in, especially the second one after I got that comment. I mean, it was kind of dumb. I mean, reading a comment from an anonymous user and being like, "Oh yeah, I want to go do this," but it definitely created a drive for me that I think that I needed at the time if I wanted to continue to hit some crazy numbers.
Yeah. And so before we kind of talk about the meet where you did it this past year, let's talk about the random decision to hop into a raw meet, my meet, and what made you do that?
I transferred schools. I went to Lock Haven. Now I'm at New Haven playing football, And I didn't know what the strength coaches were really going to think of. So I kind of just wanted to have an idea of where my numbers were at a sense, and also still have that competitive drive of doing a meet, because I didn't want to step away completely yet,
Yeah.
especially falling short the second time with the 24:30. So going into that one, that was something that was kind of a split second decision, because Mike was telling me about it in January before I got to New Haven. And I was like, Mike, like, I really don't know if I could have a meet prep yet with Multiply, with this new school and everything like that. And he was like, all right, we'll see. So honestly, I should have just went into a full meet prep in Multiply and done it in Multiply, but something told me not to. And I guess I told my strength and conditioning coaches at New Haven, and they were like, all right, as long as you don't gain too much weight, because obviously I told them the last year what I did, and they're like, yeah, we can't be having you do that.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to stay at a certain weight and just see where everything was at raw. And that meet was kind of, after my second attempt, or my first attempt squat, it kind of went downhill. I popped what is it even called? A sinus. I blew a sinus. I thought I chipped a tooth. Made the rest of the day a complete nightmare. I was in unbearable pain. I got my opener, and then after that, I felt something pop in my nose, or like underneath here, and I thought I chipped a tooth. And then after that, I started wearing a mouth guard, even though it wasn't that case. But yeah, after the first attempt, everything just went to shit. I mean, I missed my second one, and I think I popped my pec on my second attempt bench. But it was definitely something I just wanted to do. I wanted to have a sense of all cultures, just like Phil does. I kind of wanted to see everything in that aspect, like the raw meat, how it works, single ply, multiply, unlimited, like kind of have that whole entire sense, especially down the line. I think that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, I just wanted to hop into one and see what was going on. But I also wanted to be there and support all the boys and girls that were competing there. I wanted to just be there, even if I couldn't compete in my super suit, in my bench shirt. But I just wanted to be there and kind of just see where everything was at. Because we also test at school with our numbers, and I think we tested before like a week, or we tested a week later after I did that meet, and I think I did like 6:05 for like 7, I think, and I got the school squat record here, off of that. But like, it was definitely something I just wanted to do.
Yeah, and so kind of just for my own notes, like obviously the meet itself didn't go well as performance wise, but how do you think the meet was run? Like, what are some of the things that were done well, and maybe some of the things that could have been
Oh, it was
better?
a great meet. It was a great meet, other than my sinus being blown up. Maybe it was just the Massachusetts weather at the time, but it was greatly ran. I mean, it was definitely, there was everyone there who I saw. You know, it was definitely amazing seeing some familiar faces that I didn't see in a while, because obviously we don't train up at Evolve, all the Hellbent guys. So going up there with everyone was definitely cool. But everything was ran great. You know, I think that Bane doing the mic is always great. You know, he definitely has that personality to him. I love that. And just everyone there was definitely helping out. You know, after I was like, oh, like, I don't know what happened, everyone came up to me and was like, oh, you okay? Like, you need Advil? Like, it was definitely a great thing. And then obviously that stuff happened to Antonio, and you guys were obviously very supportive of that. And yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
so
great meet. You know,
he still
I
owes me a
wish I
new
wasn't
backdrop,
multiply
but
doing that meet.
yeah. And so obviously you transferred schools, and that has an effect on powerlifting in multiple ways. One, because it's a bigger school, and there's kind of more pressure to perform, and you have to be more strict. So maybe tell us about the bigger picture of why you transferred, and maybe how it's affected your powerlifting career.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely affected it because I'm closer to Hellbent. And obviously, someone who programs you, being closer to them, being hands-on, definitely does help you, seeing all the little things. But I think the main thing why I did transfer schools was just basically for football. You know, I wanted to be in a better environment. I kind of did want to be a little closer to home, and I'm thankful that New Haven picked me up and they took a chance on me in the portal. I had 2 offers in the portal. I think I had New Haven, I had Morehead State, which was in Kentucky, and it was kind of like, do I want to go to Kentucky? Do I want to be a little closer to home? So I ended up staying a little bit closer to home, and we were D2 when I did commit, and then we made the transition to D1. So it was kind of like a full culture change when that happened. But when I was in that meet prep, we were still D2, and was still training with the team. I didn't miss one session here, lifting weights at all. The whole weight room thing, I did everything with their program, and then I was also training on top of that with Mike's program and going to that gym. I think being that it helped my powerlifting career, being closer to Mike, definitely helped me. and being closer to the gym and being closer to the guys. Like Hellbent, there's an atmosphere that is not at a lot of gyms. That definitely shaped who I am as a lifter and as a football player. I think having some intensity, just getting riled up when everyone's doing great and everything like that. It definitely helped me in powerlifting and football. I think being closer to home and being closer to the gym.
Yeah, so tell us about the strength and conditioning program there, and maybe some of the things that you like about it, and some of the things that kind of get in the way of you being able to compete in powerlifting.
So the day before the raw meet, we could talk about. We had a sled pushing competition. I needed to compete in that. I couldn't just sit out and be like, yeah, I'm not going to do this because everyone had to do it.
Hmm.
So I had to do that, and that definitely hinders some things that I don't think powerlifters are doing before a day before a meet. There's definitely things, especially with practice, going on for 3 hours at a time. I can't eat all the meals that I want to. Going in the weight room and then going to practice, going to meetings. Like there's a whole bunch of structural things that is not very ideal for a power lifter. But I think the strength program that we do have is phenomenal. We have a top 10 weight room, I think, in the nation for where we are. It's actually incredible. It's like a Power Five gym. We have every single thing you need. We got SSB bars, we got American bars, we got chains, we got bands, we got it all. So during that prep with doing their strength training program, it definitely I think helped me, but it also did hurt me at times, like going to bench press 385 for full raw and then going in a shirt 2 days later. I definitely don't think that it was too beneficial, but it definitely helped me with my raw things, and I definitely had to tone things back a lot during that prep. Like if I was going to go and bench on Tuesday with the team, I can't do another bench day by myself for secondary work because I need to go and bench in a shirt on Friday. Like things like that. And then mat drills. I don't know if anyone knows what mat drills are, but if you do, that's hell. I would go home every single day during the spring to be able to go and work out and eat the meals I needed to that my family was providing me and cooking for me. Like unbelievable support system in that aspect. But I would go home every single day, and Wednesday we had mat drills. But in the morning before we had that, I would go and deadlift in my garage at 7 o'clock in the morning, freezing cold. In variations that I had to set up by myself, and no one in there, just me and pure mental determination to be like, yo, I'm in a meet prep right now. I need to do this. I need to wake up. I need to get after it, and then I need to go and recoup and go and do mat drills. At 3 o'clock after you're doing that. So it's definitely something that I don't think is ideal for a power lifter at all, but it definitely does build a foundation and builds a type of self-discipline and motivation that some people just don't have, I think. Like doing that. I don't think there was a lot of football players doing that. I don't think that there was a lot of power lifters doing that because it's just not smart. You're overtraining, you're overworking, your CNS is completely shot all the time. But it's definitely something that I did enjoy doing because I wanted to do something, and I think when I have my mind on something, I'm gonna go and do it. Like my mind was set, I was gonna do the meet, had the date, and got after it.
Yeah, and so for people that might not know what mat drills are, just let everybody know what those are.
So mat drills are pretty much five. We have like 5 stations, and we switched up mat drills this year, but last year I'll go into when it was the meet prep. 5 stations. I think one was like the waves drill, one was like a burpee drill, like a sled push drill, sit ups. Like it's a whole bunch of things that is basically trying to get your body to quit and give up and walk away from that. So it's like definitely excruciating on the body. Like mat drills are something that for a football player, like you hear mat drills and I think some PTSD goes off in your brain. You're like, got to get after it.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely something that is mentally draining and mentally it creates mental fortitude. Let's just say that. It's definitely it's something insane that I don't think a normal person has the mindset to do, especially by themselves. That's why I think it's great doing it with a team because no one's going in to mat drills and is like, yeah, I'm going to do this by myself.
Yeah.
So it's something that drains your body completely and CNS, and you have to have that mindset for it.
Yeah, and as far as balancing both, do you think most of it is like the ability to recover? Do you think most of it is just being young, or do you think there's a lot of things that you do on the outside that are really helping out with that?
Yeah, I think that it has both. I think being young definitely helps with recovering. I think also what I was doing, like we have an unbelievable treatment center. So we have the tubs, we have a cold tub, hot tub. They stim us, they cup us, they scrape us. So I was going in there almost after every single weight room session, going in the tubs, getting stimmed, getting my pec stimmed, getting my hamstring scraped, like just doing all that. It's definitely the little things with recovery that matter a lot, like stretching on my own. I'm doing that now by myself. Like I'm gonna do it after this, but like that recovery, my body was in pain. I think 24/7. Squatting almost 3 times a week, deadlifting twice a week, or deadlifting once a week, but max effort wise, and then benching almost 3 times a week. Like it's something that, and in a shirt and in multiply, like your CNS is just cooked. Like you go and take a big squat on Sunday. I know I got to go and squat on Monday with the team. Like I know that mindset is something that you got to have. Knowing that you're gonna go take another jump when you're in the gym with Mike, because he's gonna tell you you're gonna go take another jump.
Yeah.
You're like, you can't be like, I'm not gonna go take that. So definitely, that aspect in regards of the treatment that we have definitely helps us, and just recovery with fuel. Food was definitely a big thing. Like I would go home every day. I'd have chicken and rice. I'd have ground beef and rice. Have my greens, and then obviously a little late night snack. Have some Ben and Jerry's. That was my go-to. Little pint Ben and Jerry's, especially before every squat session. That was definitely my go-to.
Yeah, and as far as nutrition goes, obviously you kind of have some weight loss during the season, as I think most football players do. Same thing would always happen for me. I'd lose like 10 to 15 pounds during camp, and then go into wrestling, I'd lose another 10, 15 pounds. So trying to keep that strength up was always difficult. And
Oh yeah.
not having a super structured diet, like we had the chef at the frat house, and like they're like normal sized people meals. They're not like football powerlifter meals. So maybe tell us about how you're able to kind of just manage to your best of your ability.
I would say in the nutrition aspect
Yeah,
or the losing weight aspect.
both.
So after every single meet, I would immediately go into a cut because it was the spring and it was going into summer, and we have more workouts. So playing football at a heavier weight, playing middle linebacker is definitely something that isn't ideal. You got to change direction a lot. But after every single meet prep I would do, like the 275 one, I cut back to 220. And that was a 40-pound weight cut. And it took about like 3 to 4 months. A lot of it was just water weight, but I would go into it and I would measure out every single thing that I'm eating. I would put it in the app. I would track it. I would do cardio, and going to the field definitely helps. I think just sprinting around and sweating it out. And then the nutrition aspect, obviously I'm tracking everything when I am losing the weight. And then when I'm bulking back up, I'm not tracking anything. I'm just going to eat, put on the size, put on the weight, and see where it goes. But definitely eating clean when I cut, and then when I'm just bulking, I just kind of eat whatever. But playing middle linebacker at 260 is not ideal, and the coaches definitely don't want me there. So that's immediately after every single spring exit meeting that I have, I think every single one was, yeah, we got to get you back down to 220. And I'm like, don't worry, it's going to be taken care of. And I kind of built that trust, I think, with a lot of my coaches, because they see that I do that. And it's something I was doing since senior year of high school. So I kind of have the routine down by now of like, all right, do the meat, cut, do the meat, cut, do the meat, cut. And right now I'm kind of sitting at like 225 in the morning. I'm probably going to stay here for a little bit.
Yeah, and for you, have you noticed like a weight range for you that you perform your best at? Because there was something that mostly for wrestling, I noticed I was my best around like 235 at that time, just because I was relatively lean, but I was still able to have some strength. And kind of football was like 240, 245. I was able to, like I said, have that power, but be able to make it through a game. So for you, what was that kind of weight range where you feel like you were performing your best on the field versus performing your best on the platform?
Yeah, I would say on the field, definitely around like 220, 225. That's my ideal football. Running around, weight, change of direction, speed. Like I'm gonna keep my speed at 225, definitely. And then on the platform, I would say 242 is probably the ideal range for me, because being that second meet I did being 260, that was definitely way too big. I didn't need to be that big at all. I think I definitely let myself go a little bit in that regards. And then the third meet I needed to stay at 242 to play football at this level, because I couldn't be 260 here and try to fight for a winning spot. And that was definitely something that was different going into that prep, the last prep, because I was trying to fight for a starting spot going to a new school and then also doing a meet prep. And a lot of kids didn't really know that I was doing a meet until like the last week where they're like, oh, why are you only squatting 315? And I'm like, when the percentage is 90, I'm like, well, I'm going to go and attempt an 1,100 pound squat. So I was like,
Yeah. So before we talk about that, I mean, how come you don't want to go to 260 and put your hand in the dirt?
I wasn't scared of doing that. And I think I got threatened at that at Lock Haven. They're like, yeah, if you stay this way, you're going to go on the line. And obviously, I would hear all the jokes like, oh, I don't even know what you're doing playing linebacker right now. Like, you should be have your hand in the dirt. And I'm like, just trust what's going to happen. I was doing it for a reason. I don't think we're like, oh, he's just letting himself go and he's trying to be. That was the goal for me, to perform the best on the platform, but obviously not on the field. It definitely was different.
Yeah. So now we can kind of dive into I guess your big meet, the best meet you've done so far, the RPS Nationals this past summer, and I think to start off, we'll talk about kind of the prep going into it, because obviously it was 3 months after that raw meet, and you're kind of wrapping up spring football. So maybe tell us about what the prep was for that and kind of the goals at that time.
At that time, it was definitely revenge. After 1,100 pounds slipped off my back at Nittany, I had that carabiner hooked up in my gym and just looked at that. I was kind of every single gym session, write down on the whiteboard, that can't happen again. And I think that it was an all-in or all-out mentality. It was either I'm going to try to do the best I can, or I'm just going to, hey, sit this one out. I hit 2,400, second biggest total, second biggest squat. Because at that time, Dennis knows he took that squat from me, and I was very hungry and eager to go and get that back. So I definitely was thankful that he did that, because I might have not went out and tried to get the biggest total. Like, Hoff is definitely one of the best. He's the best multiply powerlifter. And being second would have been like, all right, but that would have been the loser mindset, and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're gonna hop into this. I'm gonna be all in, and I'm just gonna have to face the consequences on the field of not performing my best. I kind of had two eggs in a basket, and this is what I told my coach. I was like, all my eggs can't be in football right now, and all my eggs can't be in powerlifting. So I try to balance it out the best I can, performing on the field, so that I wouldn't just be like put to D line, even though I was like 240, I think 245, after the raw meet going into this prep. Yeah, the football coaches were not too thrilled with this. They were kind of like, yeah, you have to pick one. And I told them after this one that this might have been the last during the college football career. But that mindset definitely helped me throughout that meet prep. Training in my garage on Wednesdays, deadlifting, going over to Hellbent in the morning on Sundays after freaking going crazy in the weight room here. That meet prep was definitely one of the best meet preps I've had, I would want to say, just in terms of all the gear fitting the right way. And there wasn't really too many complications as it was in the second meet. The first meet was smooth sailing. It was something that we kind of knew was going to happen. It was kind of be smooth, but second one was not that great. And then the third one was like, all right, like, kind of got to figure it out here. Like, if you're going to wear this brief, you're going to wear that brief. And the only complication that I did have was the brief situation. I had to figure out if I could wear two pairs of briefs that were sewn into each other, or I couldn't. And I was switching my briefs, I think, left and right. I went back to the 3-ply Preds that I wore at 220 in the first meet, tried that. That one was working, but it wasn't working great. And then I ordered a custom, like, the Rupo F8 briefs, like the 5-ply crotch, freaking 5-ply back, 6-ply crotch or some shit. And I was like, all right, we'll see how this goes. I think I squatted 1,100 in those. It wasn't great, but like I got it. And then that was like the only complication during that meet. My hamstrings stayed healthy. Thank God. There was no broken hands, no broken bones during that spring ball. And I think that was definitely in the back of my mind while playing football during that prep. I was like, listen, if I get hurt, this meet might be scratched, because like, the last time I did it, I was getting hurt and banged up in football, and it didn't go my way. I was like, and my dad was definitely in the back of my ears saying, if you stay healthy, follow through, do the meet. If you don't, then you're not going to perform your best, probably pull out. And I probably wasn't going to either way.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that was definitely the mindset I had. And then everything was just structured with Skiba, going in there, working out with the team, going in there, working out with the team. I kind of built a routine, which definitely helped me. like power through that meet prep. And then that day was just we drove up there. It was like I don't even know how far, 5 hours I think to Albany.
Yes, it's a hike.
It was something.
Rochester.
It was something. And obviously Brittany was there. She helped me out, wrap my knees. Definitely helped me out there. Andrew showed up. Definitely helped me. My dad was there. And that meet, kind of going into it, was something like meaningful to me. You know, I missed that 1100, and I kept like thinking like, damn, like I don't know what's gonna happen here, but I was definitely very confident going into it. That to say the least. Like it's kind of like the Mike Tyson thing. You know, the further out you are, the less confident you are, and then the closer you get, more confidence I got. And I think when I was warming up and you were there helping me out, like I was like, all right, it's time to go. And then warming up, I felt great with squats. Then I went to my opener, took it, got it. I was like, all right, let's go. Let's load up 1100. Let's see what happens. Second one comes.
You guys screwed.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
Death.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this isn't happening.
It was
again.
deeper than anything I've seen this whole year. So
I was like, there's no way this is happening to me again. There's no way. I was freaking out. I think I threw a chalk bowl across the room, I think, or something. Oh, I put my belt down. People were overreacting for that. I put my belt down on the chalk bowl and it fell over, and people were like, this guy. I put my belt on the chalk bowl and people were overreacting, okay? I didn't throw the chalk bowl like people were thinking I did, like an asshole. But because I was getting complaints, I guess, from my friend Mason. I was being an asshole. I don't think I was, but whatever. They said I threw it, didn't throw it. So now going into the third attempt squat, I'm like, this is all or nothing. Because I think my opener was like, was it 10? Was it even in the thousands? Yeah, it was like
1050 or something like that. It might have been 1050 for a PR. I don't remember.
It might have been that.
Yeah, it's not on here, so
it was. I think it was like 1040 or 1050, and it still wasn't the highest squat. So I was like, all right, I know I got 1100, but going into the third one, I kind of just put my headphones on, went into Zen mode, calm before the storm attitude, and I went and picked it, and I was like, I'm blacking out at the bottom of the squat, or I'm getting this. I don't care. And Andrew was like, I'm on your right. I remember this like perfectly. He was like, I'm on your right. I was like, all right, let's go. Pick it. I'm like, all right, feel good. Start going down. I'm freaking losing. I think his voice went like faint. Like I didn't even hear it. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. Get the up call, and I freaking burst it out of the hole. And I'm like, yeah. And I rack it, and I'm like looking, and I see the white lights. And it was a very emotional thing because that was what I came there to do. Not taking a token bench also was scary.
Yeah, you made it fucking scary.
It was definitely scary not taking a token bench afterwards. But after that squat, I just remember hugging my dad, and I just wanted to like thank him so much because he was such a big part of that meet prep, helping me out in the garage in the morning and everything like that. So it definitely felt like it wasn't a waste doing that and hitting that. I knew what it meant to me. You know, it's just numbers to everyone else, but it definitely meant a lot to me because of all the work I was putting in with the football team and then putting it in by myself with Mike and just figuring things out, you know. But then bench rolled around and we're warming up and I'm like, all right. Yeah, you know how it went.
Yeah.
We're warming up and I'm like, all right, I feel good. I'm still shot from that squat. I don't think I took 1100 and then benched ever in my life. So the same day at least. So I'm starting to warm up on bench, going raw. I'm like, all right, fine. Get to the boards, banging them off the boards. It's going well. Get to the opener and freaking Andrew's in my ear. He's like, you gotta hit this. You know you can hit it. You gotta hit it. And I'm like, all right, like I gotta kind of bring myself down. Like I know I can hit it, but like I need to remember the technique. And I think I just got too amped up on the first one. And I think I hit my chest a little bit, but I hit it a little forward on my belly, and I brought it back, and it just didn't lock out. And I was like, fuck. I was like so mad. And the second one came around. I'm like, all right, I got this. I went into it with a more softer approach. I think the same thing happened. I think the same thing fucking happened. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, all right, there's no way I'm losing. I didn't come this far just to come this far. I was like, there's no way I'm going to bomb out of this meet with this bench and not keep the squat. I was like, if that happens, I'm done. I'm going home. I'm packing the bags.
Yeah.
Throwing out all the gear, selling it on Facebook Marketplace. But hit the third bench, and Andrew was like, "You're in it now, you're in it now," and I'm like, "Yes!" I was like, freaking so happy that I hit it, and was able to stay in the meet. And then I think what was it, six? It was my opener. I hit 655.
Yeah.
But during the meet prep, I think I was slamming 725 to a half board and everything like that. But I think that squat definitely took me out. It's definitely different. Squatting one day, benching one day, pulling one day compared to all in the same. And that's just a GPP thing, which I thought I had because of football and everything. But I
Football
guess I
can't
didn't.
prepare you for putting 1100 on your back.
Yeah, I don't think it could. Especially trying to go and bench 7 after.
Yeah.
But came down to that attempt and I got it and I was happy about that. And then the pulls were great.
Yeah.
You know,
the polls were perfect.
the pulls I couldn't really be mad about at all. I didn't really think I was going in there with the 800-pound pull. I think during the meet prep I hit 950 or 9 something with the reverse light band, which was like a crazy PR. And I remember Mike telling me that Bobby hit 850 with the reverse band and still pulled 800 or something. And I was like, all right, well, if I just pulled 950, I was like, I better be able to pull fucking 800 then. Like, what the fuck? So warming up for that kind of all felt great. You know, my body wasn't really too taxed after that. I think we had a longer break for pulls afterwards, but they ran a great meet there. Definitely was something that I'm gonna remember for a really long period of time in my life. But opener pull was fine. I get that. Get to the second, get that. And I'm like, all right, like going 800. A-Train's like, you gonna take 800? I'm like, all right, I'll take 800. Like, fuck it, fuck it. I remember him right before that pull. He was like, I only came here for this. I don't give a fuck about anything else. Like he drove 10 hours round trip total there and back the same day.
Yeah.
Which was incredible. I'm so thankful that he was there, having another person from the gym support me with that. But he said that he was there for that, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna pull until either my grip fails or something fails, and I pass out at the deadlift or something, and I get to the top, and I didn't even remember what happened. Like, I get to the top, I drop it, I look, I see the 2 white lights, and I like waited for the third, and then I celebrated. My mind was so confused, but it was definitely a special moment. That whole meet made it so much worth it. And everyone that was there, you, Brittany, A-Train, everyone who was at the meet definitely made it an environment that it was something special. Like, I can't thank everyone enough for that. It's not like powerlifting. People think like it's just you, but it's not really just you. It's just you on the platform. But there's so many other aspects and things that affect it with your support system, support groups, training partners, everything like that. You know, I don't think that I would have been able to complete all of those lifts by myself at all without the support system I had.
Yeah, 100%.
That day.
Yeah, then that's what I love about Multiply is the community, and I always rant about raw people like just not being part of that community, and it's something that's so simple to do and makes everyone's life way more enjoyable and makes the sport way more fun outside of the fact that you just need people to Multiply for safety reasons. But
100%.
obviously, you were able to kind of beat that total by the Hoff's total by a shitload, and now that you're kind of moving into juniors, and I don't know if you've looked, but Hoff's total in juniors is 29 something. So maybe tell us about kind of the bigger picture and the kind of the plans going forward now that you're kind of in the full swings of football and kind of not into powerlifting as much right now.
Yeah, I think that training still happens. I'm still in my garage. I'm still throwing briefs on. I'm still training with wraps. I'm still in a slingshot sometimes. And I definitely need to get back to Hellbent. You know, that's where my roots are. I'm definitely going to get back there during this spring ball, and during this break. But I'm going to try not to get roped into it and get into a full meet prep this spring and get into a meet. But if everything plans out and I'm able to go into a meet, and if it's raw or equipped, we'll see what happens. I'm definitely not closed-minded in that aspect. But right now, I'm definitely focused on football. I'm focusing on all those things, especially because I only got 2 years of eligibility left. Trying to definitely narrow that down and just become the best football player I can. Obviously, with all my eggs in that basket and not have it balancing out. But for the future, I definitely plan to still powerlift. I definitely still plan to hunt down numbers. It's what I love to do. And every single one of my posts, I think that when I start lifting again for powerlifting, I always wear hunting season because I'm hunting for something. I'm not just doing it to do it. There's definitely a reason and purpose, a rhyme behind the reason for sure, of why I do things. But Right now, I'm still building. I'm definitely going to build an incredible raw base, I think, during my 2 years left of football. And then as soon as that's over, I'm going to hop back in another meet, see where everything is, and just keep climbing from there. There's definitely some numbers that are in the future that I want to beat. Definitely some things, raw, wraps, all those categories. I want to be a jack of all trades for sure. And that's definitely, I think, what's to come in the future for me personally. But right now, yeah, definitely powerlifting's a little bit in the back burner, but it doesn't mean I'm not training. Still have that drive. I still have that competitiveness. And I'm still going to be lifting and going crazy, I think, during this off season, trying to become a better football player and also still lifting.
Yeah, and as far as the 2 seasons go, obviously, um, as a former college player yourself, you kind of start seeing that finish line. Is it something that you'd want to continue to maybe look forward to more football, or you think it's just your time's going to be your time there, and you're going to go back to powerlifting as a
That's up to God. I really do hope I still continue to play football. I really do want to continue and go to the NFL. That's always been the dream since a little kid. I think being here definitely does help me. In New Haven, get me to that next level. I think that we have all the resources to get there. We have all the coaches. We have everything. The proof's in the pudding. We have a couple guys in the league. And when I played at Lock Haven, we had a running back go to the league, Chris Collier. He was definitely a good mentor to me when I was there because we wore the same number. I remember that. But yeah, I definitely want to play in the future, go to the NFL. We'll see what happens. It would be one hell of a story, just like Jalen Hurts when they post a 600-pound squat,
yeah.
post an 1,100-pound squat about this kid. It would be nice. That's definitely the goal. And then if not, then I'm going to be lifting and still competing. I'm definitely not done competing. And even after God lets me go to the NFL, I'm definitely going to try to lift after that and compete and multiply. It's definitely such a niche sport, and I think that people try to say it's dying, people try to say that this and that. I don't think it's dying at all. I think that there's more people doing it than ever right now. I think than not ever before, but right now than a couple of years ago. And I think that people are just going to keep trying to get into it, and people have such like an open mind to it. Some people do, some people don't. Like the raw people that are already raw don't like look at multiplying. They're like, oh, like you need all that stuff to go and lift. It's not even about that. There's this one quote that Hoff said that like definitely sticks with me. It's like, I don't train to have the biggest raw squat. I train to have the biggest squat ever. And I think that there's a reason why it's in different categories, and people need to realize that it's not just for multiply and you squat 700 in briefs, but you squat 600 or you squat 400 raw. Like if that's what they want to do and they can squat 700 pounds in briefs and 400 pounds raw, let them go squat 700 pounds. It's just something that I think people need to have an open mind to, especially the raw lifters nowadays, because they're like, it's not even raw anymore. Your stiff knee sleeves are freaking bullshit. So
Yeah, no, it's fucking. I get more out of those than briefs, but as
exactly.
far as the whole multiply with, um, obviously being on a football team, like all your teammates and your coaches obviously know you do it. So what is their opinion? Is it pretty differing? Is there some people that think it's stupid? Like, tell us about that.
There's some people that think it's stupid. There's some people that are very intrigued by it. I tell them it's an overload thing, especially with the slingshot when they see videos and they're like, "Oh, are you wrong?" I'm like, "No, I got a 2-ply Widowmaker on." Like they don't know what that is, but I'm like, "Oh, it's a slingshot." They're like, "Oh, like how different is it?" I'm like, "The slingshot isn't that different, but a squat suit's way different. A bench shirt's way different." They're like, "Oh, like if I bench 315 right now, what do you think I could do in a shirt?" And I'm like, well, you're not even going to touch 315 if you go on a shirt.
Yeah,
Like it's completely different. I'm like, if your arms are here and you bench like this, imagine it like this, and something completely choking you out over that. Like it's just a complete different thing. And I think people, especially on my team, realize that. Especially when I was in the weight room and I was squatting like um
more than everyone
600 or
else.
something. Yeah, when I was squatting with everyone else, and they're like, but I was still doing the most. But like they were still like, oh, like what happened to 1,000 pounds? I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm not doing 1,000 pounds raw, guy. Like, it's not happening. But I think every single school that I went to, they've always brought up like 1,000-pound squat, especially like when I was out of high school. Like that was something that like when I came to the school, they're like, "Oh, you're the kid that squats 1,000 pounds," and I'm like, "Yeah, I squat 1,000 pounds." And they're like, "You're gonna squat 900 right now?" I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna
no,
squat 900 right now." I'm like, it's completely different. Like, and people do realize that, and some people don't. Like my strength coach now, kind of does realize that because I came in one day and I put a belt on to go bench, and he was like, "Yeah," and I put bands on the bench so I wouldn't slip. He's like, "We're raw here. We don't do none of that stuff." And I'm like, he doesn't talk like that, but that's just the impersonation I gave him. And I'm like, all right. So I threw the bands off and I took the belt off and stuff like that. Well, I'm like, it's raw. Like I just didn't want to slip on a bench and I'm wearing a belt. Like,
Yeah.
you want me to bring in a slingshot and see how much I can do?
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely make jokes about it. Especially when we tested, I think he wanted to make sure I didn't have anything on. He was like, "You have any briefs or anything underneath there?" And I like lifted up my shirt and I'm like, "No, coach. Like this is all raw. Don't worry." But yeah, it's definitely a complete difference with coaches and players like realizing, especially now. I think with me being there, like they have a kind of a sense of multiply in some aspect because they realize like, all right, you squat 1,100 pounds, but you're only squatting like 600 here. It's like, yeah, there's a big difference. And especially guys on the team that I bring to the gym, they realize like, especially if I hop in the slingshot at the gym, they're like, oh, like can I try? And I'm like, I don't know if you're ready for that yet. Like, it's a big difference. And like, I'll let them try, and they're like throwing 225 around. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. It's like, yeah, now try going in a bench shirt and touching all the way down there and waiting 30 seconds for one rep. It's like, it's a completely different thing. But I'm glad I'm able to share that with a bunch of people, especially on two teams that I was on and both competing in both of them. I definitely hope that I spread something. Maybe one out of 100 people might join the sport, but it's definitely something that I look at and try to expand the sport as much as possible.
Yeah, it's always fun to kind of be able to teach people what multiply is, and then always have that like hope that maybe one of them will just get into it. But
Exactly.
I think we can wrap things up here. So I'll ask you my final question. If you could give a new lifter or someone going into their first meet a word of advice, what would you tell them?
I would just say shoot for the stars. I don't think there's a limit on anyone. I think that there's always limits to push past. I would say not that fun because it's fun in an aspect, but it's also you're trying to go there and compete. Like I don't, for me personally, my first meet, I was not going there to have fun. I don't go to any meet to have fun. I go there to go and compete and take numbers and take people off boards. That's just what I do, and I think that's my personality as a person. Very competitive, high motor kid, and I think that if you go into your first meet like that and you're very hungry, you're gonna just want more after that. So I would say go into your first meet as hungry as possible, look at numbers that you want to beat, go and beat them, or don't beat them, and then try to beat them again. I think that definitely helps a lot of people out in at least their first meet regards to help the mind, especially having a support system. Even if you don't have a great support system, just keep shooting. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to gain 10 pounds and have 100 pounds on your squat the next year. You don't know. So I would just say stay consistent with it, keep doing it, and definitely compete and hunt for some records.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I wanted to thank you again for taking the time to come on. It was my pleasure.
Of course, thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much.
No problem.